Greetings, fantasy football fans. I wanted to update you on a little project here. I had never seen anything like this before, and decided again just to jump into it, maybe because I've got a serious sleeper problem, but it's been very interesting. The guy who created the league is a Steeler fan, so he took the Steelers, but he created a 32 team dynasty league where everyone who comes in gets to grab a franchise. So with the Steelers already gone, I grabbed the Colts. I just want to run through real quick kind of my process. If you've watched some of my basketball stuff, you kind of see consistency in what I'm trying to do here. This one required some thought process though. So look at our starting lineup here. Okay, we've got two starting quarterbacks. I have Daniel Jones and Riley Leonard, who is Daniel Jones' backup. And one of the first things I thought on this league was, well, actually, what I probably ought to try to do is get another starting quarterback off another team. We'll get to that in a minute, but I did. Not for this season because he's hurt, but going into next season, there's a chance that I have two starting quarterbacks every week, unless there's an injury, of course. And I'll try to get that guy's backups too if I can. So Jones and Leonard. Notice I have some Tennessee running backs here. I made a trade. So since I had the Colts, I had Jonathan Taylor. And for some reason, every time I ever have my hands on Jonathan Taylor, someone comes in and makes me an offer, and I can't refuse it. And that offer was 3 first-round picks. Now, what I did was, instead of just taking the 3 first-round picks and giving up Taylor, I said, look, I'll take Pollard and Spears, because it was obviously the Tennessee Titans guy. I took another Titans running back. I think it's Chestnut, something like that. I offered him the entire Colts running back room, which would have been Jonathan Taylor and his backups. And then I also offered second-round picks in exchange for first-round picks. So basically, I got Pollard and Spears and 3 first-round picks, which I think in a 32-team league, and you're going to see here in a minute why that's important, is going to be gigantic. And gave up some second-round picks, which are probably kind of meaningless, got to be honest. And now I have the Titans running backs instead of the Colts running backs. And who knows where Pollard will be next year. Hopefully Spears hangs in there. He's a pretty young guy. I've already had people trying to trade me for Spears, and I have told them no. So I do have my 2 starting running backs, and I like the fact that they're on the same team. I'm going to get whatever points the Titans running backs get me. You'll notice in this particular week it was 15, 16 points here, which is not terrible. By the way, notice Daniel Jones did fine. If I get another starting quarterback in here, that will also help my point totals. I do have Colts running wide receivers, so there's not really much to talk about there. I have Tyler Warren, which is one of the reasons I picked the Colts for my team, along with Jonathan Taylor. I traded, though, for Cade Otton. In fact, I did not give up a first-round pick. I think it was a second and a third for Cade Otton. So I do have 2 starting tight ends, and you'll notice that they did okay. They did pretty well. Here is the Tennessee running back here. Some more Indianapolis backups. So these are flex spots. And again, if I end up picking up, with my draft picks, I end up picking up some other players. Those can fill in those spots, which would be kind of cool. I got the kicker. I've got the Indianapolis defense. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 starting spots all the way down here to the defense. And believe it or not, we are not finished, because now you're going to start 3 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, 3 defensive backs, and you're also going to start 6 just individual defensive players, whether they're defensive line, linebacker, or defensive back. What I did was I, again, just picked up every single Indianapolis Colt that I could out there that I could find, and I read up on them to see if they were practice squad or if they'd been cut 2 years ago. I picked up one guy who had been cut 2 years ago, but they hadn't updated it on Sleeper. And you'll notice, like this guy Pratt that scored 82 points, man, I got no idea. 20 tackles. I don't know who this guy is. It's crazy. But I just picked up all the Colts. Needless to say, if you are a Colt fan, you might notice in the defensive backs, I do not have Nick Cross. I was offered a first, second, and third round pick for Nick Cross, along with like a backup tight end for the Patriots or some young guy. I did a little research on it. That guy is a good player, but I made the trade. I just don't think a defensive back is worth a first, second, and third round pick. And then that guy traded Nick Cross like the next day. He traded him away. So I have contacted the guy who got Nick Cross and said, hey, what would it take to get him? And they're asking a pretty steep price. So apparently this guy is somebody, especially when it comes to individual defensive players, that people want. But if we're starting 25 players per week, which it kind of looks like we are, I don't know how influential one defensive back is going to really be. So I do have some holes here. You'll notice this Edwards guy, he's out. So I'm going to have to figure something out there. And then here's Sauce Gardner. I have him as an individual defensive player, actually. But the Colts, he's another reason I picked the Colts, because they had traded for him at the deadline. And he did pretty good out here. So, but here's Lamons. I think I'm going to have to figure something out there. Here's an individual defensive player who I think isn't even playing on a team. So I'm going to have to figure something out with him. By the way, I have this rookie linebacker for Chicago who scored me 7 points. And I'll tell you a little bit about my process on how I ended up picking up some other players. Here's my bench. I am loaded with injured guys. And what happened was we had such a deep bench. Even after I'd picked up all my Colts, I still had spots open. So I went out and I started picking up. I sorted by roster percentage. Anybody that was a high rostered player in all leagues who still happened to be hanging out there, I tried to go get them. I went for season projections. Whoever was still projected to score this season, I went and grabbed them. I went with average depth, average draft position, ADP, sorted by that and picked the top guys I could pick there. And I've done that a few times because as I picked up a lot of these players, for example, Jonathan Brooks, who I don't even have anymore for the Carolina Panthers. The guy with the Panthers should have had him. And so I picked up Brooks for next to nothing. And well, actually, this is a waiver wire rotation. You don't even have free agent acquisition budget. You're not bidding. So I contacted the guy and I said, hey, don't you want this guy? And of course, I was trying to get like a third round pick or something out of him. And he kind of balked at that. He said, I should have had him for free. So I did give him away for free. However, I sent out so many of these. I sent out like 12. And I got like 9 guys who went ahead and just took the deal I offered them, which generally was, let me get a third round pick from like 2028, or let me upgrade from a third to a second. So I'll send you a player and a third and you send me a second, stuff like that. So if you go down here, by the way, this Westover is the tight end I got for Nick Cross, along with the first, second, and third round picks. So don't know if he's going to work out or not. By the way, I just want to throw out, I hate Deshaun Watson. But I do think at some point he's going to be playing quarterback in the NFL again. So I picked him up. He's on the physically unable to perform list. I picked up Pickett, Super Bowl champion. The guy has a ring. And again, I feel like he probably is going to land somewhere. Cooper Rush has played this season. So I picked him up. Miles Sanders on IR, Zamir White on IR, Ty Chandler on IR, Madison on IR. So these are all running backs who I feel like going into next year are probably going to find a spot somewhere, even if they're a backup. And, I'll just keep them. See what happens. I have not sent out my little low-end offers on these guys. I've just pretty much been keeping them because I went through that process like twice. And I feel like the people who wanted these guys could have had them by now because I've been picking them up off the waiver wire like a week later. So they probably don't want them. So I'm just going to keep my roster full with these guys. Here's another Colt here. Here's Rondale Moore, IR. This is a young tight end for Cincinnati. I don't know that Gesicki is going to hang out there that long. Here's Passignon, and I think he's probably going to end up cut because I don't think he plays for anybody. Notice I had a couple of bench guys here who scored some points, especially for the Colts. So I'll be able to kind of keep an eye on that and rotate those guys in hopefully next week for sure. This guy was suspended. I know he plays for Washington, and he spit in somebody's face and got suspended. So I have a feeling I'm going to end up putting him into the starting lineup. Lots of zeros over here, though. And look how deep these bench spots are. I mean, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, or 25 bench spots. So you're starting like 25 and you're benching 25. And then you have your 3 taxi squad guys. So it's like 53-man roster is I think what they're trying to do. I'm big on this Martinez guy, by the way. He's not on a team right now, and I don't know why, but I feel like he at some point should land and play somewhere. And then I ended up with a running back from Tennessee who I had gotten a trade, and I ended up with a defensive back at Indianapolis who are just sitting here on my taxi squad. I did pick up Will Levis. I feel like he might end up playing somewhere. Richardson might end up playing somewhere, but he's a Colt, so he was easy. I picked up a kicker. I can't believe nobody has Tyler Bass. The guy with Buffalo should have him, but I don't think he accepted my trade. Here's a wide receiver, young wide receiver, who I think might land with the Saints. And then here's the one I want to talk about trade-wise. I reached out to the guy because Penix was on his trade block, and I think I offered him a first and a second. Or no, I offered him a first, and then he came back with a first and a second for Penix, and I smashed accept. Penix is out for the season now. I think he's got some kind of a knee thing. Going into next year, I will have the Colts starting quarterback, which will likely be Daniel Jones. Honestly, they should pay him $60 million or so over at least a couple of years. The guy's earned it. So I think Daniel Jones will be there. And then I've got Penix penciled in as my other quarterback. So if I have 2 starting quarterbacks every single week, I just think that's awesome. And if any of these backup guys end up popping for injuries or whatever else, then I think I'm going to be set. I really do. So the draft pick board has gone through some changes, but you will notice here, 2026, I have 2 first-round picks. 2027, first-round picks, 2 of them. And 2028, 2 first-round picks. These Believer in Jesus guys are the picks that I got in the Jonathan Taylor trade. There was a first-round pick that I had that I ended up trading away for Penix. In fact, I feel like it might have been this. I feel like it might have been this Wemby guy. I think it was, but I can't remember. In fact, we could maybe go find that guy's team. I don't know, but bottom line is this. I feel, in a fantasy sense at least, as though I am the literal GM for the Indianapolis Colts. Now, the one thing I don't get to do is pick up their draft picks. So if the Colts have 2 first-round picks next year, I am not guaranteed to get those players. I have to use my picks to get them, and that's only if I can. So this is the point at which the fantasy roster will diverge from the real roster, because I can trade for Penix, I can trade for Otten. I can do some of these other moves that will help my cause a little bit. So notice, let me see if it'll show me the matchup here. I won 832 to 163. I think there's still some tweaks to go on with the scoring, especially with defenses, because my defense scored like 400 points or something. 369 points over here. That doesn't sound quite right to me, but I think they're going to tweak it a little bit. And and again, the way I see it, I'm kind of set here for the future. I got rid of Jonathan Taylor, and I do think running back is one of those positions that's a little interchangeable. If you can pick up some assets there, I think you do it. And then put in some young guys. I mean, I'll use all these draft picks on running backs if I want to. But I think some of these old guys that I have on IR and on the bench and stuff, I think might also pan out as well. So they just, good running backs, or at least grizzled running backs, have a tendency to pop back up. Somebody, twist an ankle for 4 weeks. Well, then you've got to put in your, Alexander Madison for a few weeks, and that's where it might work out. So this was a little project that I would have never even thought of doing, and I ended up involved in it, and I'm pretty happy I did. I think it's going to be pretty fun. It also could fold because nobody's active. Who knows? I mean, I hope it kind of catches some momentum and keeps going. That's for sure. But I was very happy to end up with the Colts, and yeah, I guess we'll see how it goes from here on out. I'll try to put up at least one more update maybe toward the end of the season, let y'all know where we're at on that. I might send out some more trade offers for some of these backup guys and see if I can upgrade that draft status a little bit, because I think over the long term that probably is going to work out in my favor. So pretty much that's it on the NFL football only one team league, 32 team Dynasty PPR for 2025. Y'all stay safe out there.